Good morning. I heard a story, read a story about a couple of old gentlemen that had known each other as young boys and had grown up and as young men had a lot of escapades together. One of them was an editor of a New York newspaper, and the other guy was over in England. He had become renowned over there as a man of goodwill. And the word came to the editor that he was dying, so he decided he'd go over and visit him. So he went over to England, and when he got there, they were talking, they were reminiscing, they were laughing, they were remembering all the good times they had. And the editor said to him, you were a pretty wild guy back in your younger days, and I know why, because I was right with you. But he said, something happened to you, and you changed. And he said, I've always wanted, and I never have, but I always wanted to ask you what it was. He said, was it the time that you guys rescued the people off of the Casper, that ship that went down? And the old man paused and looked at his friend, and he said, yeah, that's when it was. He said, we were there, and we didn't think we could get everybody off. And finally, the wife came off, and her little girl, which was 4 years old, and the last one off the ship was the captain. And as he was crawling up the side of our ship to get on, we were really excited. And his wife ran over to him. She threw his arms around him, and she said, I told you God would take care of us, that none of us would die. And with that, she turned around and she looked at the captain, who was holding her little girl, and she said to him, hey, can I pray? And he said, why, of course, we've all been praying. So she dropped on her knees and she started to pray. When she finished praying, she stood up and she held her hands out for her little girl to come, and her little girl snuggled up closer to the captain of the ship. And he had a beard, and he couldn't understand why he would do that. And she looked at her mother and she said, is he God? And her mother said, what do you mean, is he God? Well, you told me that God would save us, and this is the man to save us. Is he God? And the mother said, no, he's not God. He's one of God's men that God chose to do something at this time. And he said, and the old gentleman said, when that happened, I thought about it, and I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be one good man for God the rest of my life. And he said, that's what changed me. That's what made me different. It's wonderful to know that there can come occasions in our life where crisis times come, and we have an opportunity to choose. We have an opportunity to choose which way we're going, what we're going to do, how we're going to invest our lives, what we're going to do for others. And this old gentleman had invested his life, and everybody saw him as someone good, because he had made a decision one day to do what was good. He wanted to be one of God's men. That's what I hope many of us would like to be. We'd like to be one of God's persons, and will respond to his will and respond to his asking for us to follow him. May God bless you this day as you think about it. Amen.